Not really, Governor, because God had prepared me in that I grew up in one of the worst neighborhoods in Greensboro. And so I had working knowledge of how everything worked, and I had become sick and tired of seeing how they were treating people at that particular point in time.
Were your parents nervous? Did they know you were going to do this?
No, they didn't.
They did not. They watched you on TV, huh?
They found out when they showed the picture on the newspaper.
What did they say?
Well, they both were in favor of it because my father was a conservative, and believe it or not, a man with a third-grade education was a Republican all his life.
That's awesome. You know, a lot of times people just assume that if you're African-American, you're going to be a liberal Democrat. You're not.
No,
how come?
I started out as that because people told me that's what I was supposed to do. But when I went to do my research and started looking at the Republican Party and see what they stood for, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, as a matter of fact, when I was talking with my dad and I was espousing about the Democratic Party, and he sat there and looked at me and said, "Son, you don't know your history." But I didn't listen to him because I had graduated from college and I thought I knew more than he did.
So one of the things fascinating about you, you went through that experience. You experienced true racism in a way that a lot of people, they hear the word, they have no idea what that means. Compare what you experienced sitting at that lunch counter in 1960 versus when people today say everybody's a racist.
Well, you know, most people don't know what a racist is. And see, racism is man-made, not God-created. And so I was raised up in a house where we got along with whites all of my life, but I grew up in an era time known as Jim Crow. So I never went to an integrated school, was bused all my life, sit on the back of the bus. And what I realized was that what I saw at Woolworths, for example, 2 water fountains, one saying color, one saying white. And when you went upstairs, you had a lunch counter, but we could buy food, but we couldn't, we had to take it to go. So I had this great opportunity on this particular day, and it changed my life forever.
You know, it didn't just change your life, it changed this country. Yes. In a way that needed to be changed. What happened to you, what happened to many African-American kids across this country is shameful. It is not a part of our past and history that any of us can do anything other than just grimace and say, God forgive us for ever letting that be a part.
And Governor, I'm still fighting today.
I'm glad you're still fighting. Even after the difficult times you had as a teenager, you served your country in the U.S. military.
Yes.
You know, I think that speaks volumes. You had hope and confidence in a country that wasn't always on your side.
Right.
Where did that come from? Because I find that admirable.
It came from my dad because I never heard him say anything bad about the white race whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, right now, this cancel culture is the exact reverse of Jim Crow. Now they're teaching people that look like me to judge you by the color of your skin and not the content of your character, which is totally wrong.
You know, you can say that. If I said it, I'd be called a racist.
It's the
you
truth.
said it, and it is the truth.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful that you've had the courage to say that, because I think a lot of times people look at our culture and they say, okay, there's a few racists here. I honestly don't know of anybody who is currently a racist. I grew up with some people who probably would maybe be that. But we've come a long way in this country.
We have. And see, when I have supported Donald Trump, people ask me why, because they call him a racist. And I asked him to clearly define what your definition of a racist is. And then I asked him, tell me one policy that he's put in place that's a racist, because if he would have, then I would have called him out. Wouldn't have any choice. So we had this great man that did great things for this country, and now he's no longer sitting in that office, which is a shame.
A thirst for justice led African-American students to sit down at the Woolworth lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. It was one of the very first civil rights sit-ins, and it started a movement all across our nation. Clarance Henderson was 18 years old when he took his place in history. Almost 6 decades later, he is here tonight in a seat of honor. Clarence, thank you for making this country a much better place for all Americans.